David Garcia, welcome to the Joy of Paddle. It's brilliant to have you on the show. I heard about you through Ate. I know that you know my cousin Nelly. So let's start with a little bit about who is David Garcia.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Minter, for this invitation. For me, it's a pleasure to be here and to share my small or big knowledge, depending. And who is David Garcia? Well, to sum up, is a guy that has been playing paddle for 27 years since I was 4 years old. I started playing in my neighborhood because my parents moved to a neighborhood where we have um, a paddle court in there with walls, with the stone ground and everything. And I started playing paddle so young. Then my whole life in this beautiful sport, competing, training as a coach. Now in M3 Padel Academy, organizing all the collaboration, all the international collaborations. So my life is paddle.
You would be, I suspect you might even be my first pure player on the Joy of Paddle. That's to say, you began at the age of 4. I began at the age of 10, but by the age of 10, I was already playing tennis as well, where it seems like you were actually, I suppose you probably play tennis as well.
No, no, never, never. I'm pure paddle player. I started playing paddle. Then when I started training at the age of 6, it was paddle on. I used to train like 2 times a week because paddle was not so professional whenever we started. And but always paddle, never tennis. And just like a fun information or something like this, in my own neighborhood, in the neighborhood where I started playing paddle, we were, whenever we were kids, then we became professional paddle players, 5 of us. My brother, Carlos Garcia Campos, that now has stopped also playing professional. Jaime Menendez, that he has been top 100 in the world. And then Ale Galan and Alba Galan. We
I
were,
think I think I've heard of them.
yeah, yeah. The neighbor Galan did a video in his own card where he started playing paddle whenever he was 2 years old, 3 years old, and I used to live in the third floor and Galan in the fourth floor. So we know each other since we were kids,
That's
and
a
both we
B.
were pure paddle players.
Oh boy. Right. Well, so Alba and Ali also are pure paddle players.
Yeah, both of them. I used to train because of the age with Alba Galan in the
Mhm.
group, and my brother used to train with Ale Galan when they were young because of the age.
I see. That's brilliant. Beautiful. So let's talk about your game first of all. So you got to be the top 60 in the world, and you retired from professional paddle 4 years ago. Talk about your style of play. I love to find out a little bit more about how you, as a pure player in particular, it's very interesting. What's your style of play? And the way I like to ask it is, what sort of animal do you think of yourself as on a paddle court?
Oof. For me, it can be like an animal who is fast and who competes well because I'm not so tall, I'm not so strong. I am like 172 centimeters tall, so not so big. So I have to supply this kind of physical because I used to face a lot of powerful, strong players with being soft, being fast on court, competition well, the important points, and also with good techniques. And I used to play whenever I was young in the left side, but whenever I became professional, because of my physical condition, I moved to the forehand side and to the right side. And I was not a right hand player at usual because I also pressure the ball, do some winners. So it was like a mix.
Yeah, well, because you played on the left, you knew how to
Yeah.
put away shots. I mean, Chingotto comes to mind as a smaller, now playing with Galan, a smaller right side player.
Yeah, more or less, or maybe more like Dineno that maybe pressures a little bit more than Chingoto. But the thing is that paddle is not an individual sport. Is sometimes you need to um, adapt to the team, adapt to your partner. Probably Chingoto with Galan is playing slowly and safety and working more because Garan is winning more points. But whenever Chingotto used to play with Momo or with in the
Teo.
master final with Dineno, he had to look for more winners or whatever. So he adapted their own game to their own style of play to the team.
So what sort of animal would you, how would you describe your game if you now had to use an
Uh,
animal?
Probably like a fox that is small but fast, but is quite similar, I think.
That's funny. My father, who was I think he was the very first guest on my show, he called himself the Silver Fox because, of course,
Really?
he's an older man, but he's known the game like I have since the early 1970s. So, what about your favorite shot when you're playing still today? What is your favorite shot?
I think without doubt that is the bajada de pared because it's my favorite shot. I win a lot of points with this, and sometimes whenever I play, I I prefer instead of doing a bandeja and keep the net to let the ball pass because I know with my bajada I'm going to win a lot of points and have a lot of good results with this.
And do you have a cuchilla as well?
So, mix, yeah, but it's kind of good. I don't want to say good things about me because it's something that I think trainers or players should say. But being honest is one of my best shots.
Well, beautiful. I mean, when you think about paddle, the certainly I think, and your comment would be useful. We've had such an evolution of the game, where when I was playing in the beginning, it was basically a slop around, and there were not even it wasn't the walls that stopped at 3 meters, and I mean such a different type of game, only in concrete, and then it seems like we're inventing new shots more and more. You're hearing El Dormillon, maybe wasn't something that was so obviously done before. La Bajada wasn't sort of tried so much. It was a shot off the back wall, but now we've given it a name. It feels like La Cuchilla is another version. We could actually start talking about different shots off the back wall because you can do the one that a little short shot, almost like a chiquita, but a chiquita that sort of comes down on the side of the players. What shot is that? It's not like a bajada traditionally. For me, a bajada traditionally is, you're coming back and you're slapping it off the back, high off the back wall to try to get by the two players at the net. But there feels like you could be nuanced about what types of bajadas to play.
Yeah, totally. For me, is that every single player has different and own technique because in a natural way, in a natural aspect, the movement each different players are going to do is going to be totally different. So for me, the bajada and the cuchilla is different because if you see the bajada or Bella is more flat and more strong and looking for more power, but the cuchilla Paquito, for example,
For
is a
example,
little bit it's so hard also, but with more spin. If the ball pass the opponents, there is less rebound. But for me, the most important thing is with this shot, with the technique you have, I don't care, to try to have the most options you can about direction, about a strong strength, about all different things for not knowing, not being able the opponent to know where you're going to play, how fast, and with what power, etc.
and
That's
what
the
is
most
the
important thing.
I love that. What is the most important concept as you're going back to the bajada to make sure you have all that flexibility to hit it where you want? What's going through your mind as you're going back? You let it bounce. Now what? How are you working your mind?
Yeah, the most important thing for me is to be able to hit the ball high and in front of you. Because whenever you let the ball pass, you expect a ball that is perfect for you, that is in front of you, high and the perfect one. But sometimes the rebound is not as you would love to have it. So the most important is the decision making about okay, if the ball is not as easy as I thought, even I was going to do a bajada, let's throw a lob or let's throw a slowly bajada because I can take the risk whenever it's perfect for me. If not, I have to change my opinion. But this is something that you have to make the decision in seconds.
Yeah, for example, if the ball's coming too close to the wall, it drops sort of slowly on the wall as opposed to coming off the wall, which of course happens, or it hits maybe even the grill, the netting on the top. Of course, it's going to bounce weirdly, and so there you have to be more safe about the way you play it.
Totally agree. So if the ball is difficult, in the end, it's not having the rebound you want. You have to throw a lob. Or for example, it depends also of the results you are having. Even you are having a very very good bajada, but the last three bajadas, you've missed two, or the opponent has blocked the three of them, and you are not winning the net, and you are not reaching your objective. Maybe you need to look for something different. So it depends of the match, of the opponents, or maybe in the day. That's the difference between a very good player and a normal player. The normal player is doing always a good shot, but if it works or not, it doesn't matter to them. But the very good player know how to adapt and see what is happening in a match and select the shot that is working in this game.
I love the way you're talking about that. And I can't imagine having had to practice against Ali Galan, the guy, or, so many of the players have such reactions. If I were to do a bajada, they would see it, they would have a cup of tea before hitting the ball. They'd be sort of like,
Totally.
I wonder when he's going to hit the ball. I'm ready.
Totally. There, we in M3 Padel Academy, we have Galant in Goto now, and I had the opportunity to train with them. Also because I know Galant a lot of years ago. I used to play around 1 year with Galant whenever we were younger, both. And the difference between the top 100 in the world and these kind of players is how fast they hit the ball without making mistakes. It's crazy how fast and with with not a lot of mistakes, and it's totally crazy.
That it is. All right. Well, one more question about your game. What is the shot that you want to improve on? Which is the one you feel like, I need to get better at that one?
Probably, I would say the forehand, the normal forehand without wall. Why? Because whenever I started training paddle, is one of the things that paddle players we do it worse than the tennis players, because this lift forehand, controlling the speeds, controlling the direction without wall. Normally we let the ball pass and we use the rebound. We don't use this forehand, and we don't use to train this normal forehand a lot. So I will set the normal forehand for changing rhythms, changing direction, and having more confidence in that stroke. It's something that whenever I used to compete a lot, I worked a lot on this, because it's a stroke that for a paddle player is not the most trained one. That compared to a tennis players are training this every single time.
Well, I think in particular of the return of service, where if you, I mean, that's most of the, well, I don't know if most, but when you're playing on the right, when the wall, it comes off the wall, you're hitting it sort of a side wall and stroke, or just a direct stroke, and you've got to time it correctly so you get it back over the net, down at the feet of the server. But what about your backhand then? Because that normally is also the same situation. But you say your forehand's more important to you to improve than your backhand drive.
Yeah. I think both depends on. This is a particular case of me, because as I used to play more time in the left side, I train more the normal backhand, because the ball came more to my backhand instead of my forehand. So the forehand, I pass the ball to the other side, and I never needed to control a lot of the speeds in the ball, because with this, just passing the ball to the side was enough for me. Whenever I moved to the right side, whenever I was in 19, 20 years old, I saw that I will need to have more control in the forehand.
Beautiful. All right, now let's talk about your current occupation, David. You are working at the M3 Padel Academy as the director, head coach. Tell us about, and a shareholder. Tell us about what is M3.
Well, and in general words, M3 Padel Academy is one of the biggest academies in the world. We are a team of more than 35 coaches that we train with the same methodology, with the structured trainings, and it started like 11 years ago. And now we are working here in Madrid in 2 different facilities, okay? But in September, we are going to have our own club. We are going to be the first academy in the world that is going to own a specific paddle club focused in competition and training. It's going to be so big. It's going to have 18 indoor courts with 5 center courts, 15 meters high, the roof. So it's going to be amazing.
You can really do, la bomba.
Yeah. You can pinchado. We say pinchado. You can throw the ball very, very high, and you don't even touch the roof. So it's going to be good.
All right. So let's start talking about the coaching system that you have. So I assume what that means is that each of the coaches uses the same techniques and the same styles and the same designs and the same types of strokes.
Yeah. Normally, we've seen that it's important to unify the way the team is working, because a lot of years ago, people were fidelized to the trainer. If the trainer trains good, it's okay. If the trainer is training different but also good, it's okay. But people don't fidelize to a product, to a training, where used to be fidelized only to the trainer. We've seen that we need to do something more professional, something to offer the same training, the same product to every single customer that comes to us. Regarding, it doesn't matter which coach is the one who is going to impart. How we do this? We give the same information to all of our coaches. We do the same supervision of the coaches to every single one, and also we work with the session program. So we have an annual planning for training divided into levels. Competition training are organized, so the coaches are not inventing the training by themselves. They are following what we in M3, we said them, today you have to do this lesson, the next day this one, the next day this one, the next day this one. Sorry, I don't hear you now.
You are right. I put myself on mute because I don't want you to hear the drilling behind me. But when you use the word fidelize, in English, we would say typically more gain loyalty or get the loyalty of people, just to be clear. But the notion of having the same system is so important. Obviously, if you're changing coaches as a student, you come in and then all of a sudden, because I have an example where I had one coach that said to me, well, we don't do the gancho anymore. That's out. That's passé. Whereas another coach said to me, well, no, it's completely useful. This is where you use it. I'm like, which one is it? And so if you're getting mixed messages like that, when should you leave the ball to go by, you hit the wall? This, or little technique aspects, like la vibora is different from la bandeja. But the bandeja, by the way, has changed, in my opinion. It used to be a real tray shot. You had the tray.
Yeah.
But now the way you hit it, it's closer and closer to a vibora. So which one is it? When is it? And all these other things are important to have this consistency amongst the coaches.
Totally. For us, the most important thing is that all of our team has to send the same message, the same information to each different player. We say that we go, in our methodology is based that we go from the game to a technique, and all the coaches know that we have to do a warm-up and a control drills where we have to focus on consistency. We have to work technique where we do technical corrections, and then we have to do some points with condition or tacticals, and there we have to do tactical correction, not technical correction. Okay, they know this, and they know what kind of correction they have to do, how we teach this, and even the coaches are changing. Someone is ill and is not coming, and another one is going to do the lesson to them. They are going to work in the same way. So the customer, the player, is not feeling that is changing the training. So we've reached one thing that for us is very important, that people, whenever come to M3 Padel Academy to train, they are not training with David Garcia Campos, with Fernando Poggi, with Jorge Martinez, or with Angel Rino, or with David Requena. They are training with an M3 coach. They know the training is good and the trainer is going to be good, but they don't choose which trainer they want. So this is something that takes time to reach this, that takes a lot of work to reach this, but now we are in the perfect point for this.
Well, so I used to run a large company that had 2,000 educators. So this is something I'm very familiar with in terms of what it takes to make that consistency, because we were in 40 countries around the world, and we wanted to have a consistent approach. The challenge was allowing the individual to exist within that system, because the personalities, how much can someone who's really smiling a lot, well,
Yeah.
should you allow them to smile? Someone who's much more introverted, can it be part of the same system? And how do you allow for personality to flourish within a singular system?
Okay, this is something that is difficult to control. Okay, we ask our coaches to have respect to their students, to they are working face to face with the public, to smile, to be honest, to be sympathetic, to be empathetic. But this is something of the personality you cannot control. Maybe someone prefers this one smiles more, this one talks more, and this one is a little bit more serious. It doesn't matter, but if we control the rest, what we can control, the other things are smaller. So maybe if the coach is changing, okay, maybe this one can be a little bit more funny, or this one can do a little bit more jokes. I don't know, but if the training is the same, if everything is controlled, at least what I can do as a company, as an academy, I control as much as I can about what the final service we are offering.
Beautiful. All right. So talk to me about your type of clients, and how do you attract them? What sort of programs do you provide, whether it's for internationals or it's always in English, or how do you do that?
Perfect. Now in the academy, in these work facilities we're working, we have around 1,200 students. Okay, we call it school students. Okay, or escuela amateur. These students train every single week. Okay, and these students are from initiation, intermediate, and advanced, adults and kids. Okay. Apart from this, we have 150 competition players that they train 2, 3, 4 times a week, and a group of 30 professional padel players. In this padel player, we have Galan Chingoto. We used to have Lebron. Now we have Chingoto, Bea and Delphi, and a lot of more girls and a lot of more guys. Okay. Apart from this, we are receiving people from all over the world. We are doing like training weeks where people come from South Africa, from United States, from Australia, from Shanghai, from Sweden, and they come 1 week to train, like intensive training, okay? And we are receiving people we do it like 3 weeks a month. Groups around 10 to 15 players, okay? And we also are doing collaboration with clubs all over the world. I am the international expansion manager, and I control all the collaboration we are doing. And nowadays we are working with clubs from the Philippines, passing through Hong Kong, in the United States, Mexico, Venezuela, Chile, Sweden, Italy, Kuwait. So a lot of countries we are going, and we try to share all of our experience with them.
So a lot of your coaches must speak other languages other than English, Spanish.
Totally. Now, for example, as we are growing the team, we used to be like 5 years ago, we were 20 coaches. Now we are 35 coaches, but now the coaches we are teaching, the coaches we are hiring, they have to know English, because it's something that is totally fundamental and totally important, because now padel is global. 15 years ago, padel was only played in Spain and in Argentina, so there were no problems. But now it's It's booming all over the world. It's crazy the way it's booming all over the world. So they have
That
to
is
speak it.
that is so true. And one of my challenges on the Joy of Paddle is getting good players that also speak English. You know, yo hablas español, pero you know, this is an English speaking podcast. So we're talking about coaches 1 second. One of the challenges that I see for speaking to so many clubs around the world is that it's difficult to get good coaches. Getting converted tennis players who know how to hit the ball, okay, technically good on that, but they don't actually have the culture of padel. And so I'm wondering, A, do you coach coaches? And two, what is it about the culture of padel? Can you distill for us what do you think is the culture of padel?
Okay, perfect. Answering your question, yes, we are doing coach certifying coaches. We are doing the coaches formation for all the coaches. It's one of the keys we are doing all over the world because obviously there is a lack of good coaches. But being honest, it's impossible to teach paddle in 2 days or in 5 days or even in 15 days. The biggest problem all over the world is that there we there is going to be a lack of good coaches for covering the whole world. Perfect. Okay, we need to create coaches. Perfect. How we create good coaches is with experience. There is no other way. Even you study 10 hours a day during 1 month, you have to be on court doing lesson, learning, studying, watching paddle, and making a lot of mistakes during a lot of time. So it takes time. There's not the perfect formula. We are looking for solution and online courses and hybrid courses and doing this and passing paddle tennis player into paddle and teaching them because they have the base of how to hit the ball. But it's going to be impossible to have a lot of good coaches in the next 5 years because these coaches have to uh, test, to do lesson, to make mistakes, and to learn about paddle. The only way to be a good coach is with experience. There's no other way. And this is the biggest lack that is going to happen in the world in the next 5-10 years. I'm totally sure.
Mm. Well, I have two thoughts. One is I'm just thinking about I played a few days ago in Las Vegas, and I was playing with my partner Neto, and a great, lovely man. And I said, well, of course, it's all about not making mistakes. What do I do? The next point is I make an unforced error. I'm like, ah. And by the way, I'm a certified coach as well. So I'm thinking, good Lord, I still making stupid mistakes like that. So even that is the challenge there is experiencing the mistake that I said you shouldn't be doing, and I didn't do it. Say what I do and don't know. Do what I say, not say what I do.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
right. But in terms of the culture of paddle, how would you describe the culture of paddle? And where do you think it's going? Do you think it'll be able to stay the same kind of mindset that we've always had?
Yeah, I think so because what you said, if there is a perfect formula about okay, if I don't have to make mistakes, then I train like this, and then I don't make the mistakes. Everybody would be a professional. Everybody would be the top number one. That's the difference between the top 10 players and the top 50 and the top 100 is that in these important moments, the one who deal better with the pressure, with the not having to make the ball, with passing the ball as much difficult as I can without making the mistakes, is the difference. And how I can improve this? Training, repeating a lot of time the same situation. And I used to have a trainer whenever I started that he said me in the beginning, okay, first you have to lose the matches in 2 sets. Then against the same one, you are going to have the opportunity of doing 1 set. You are going to lose it, and you are going to lose again in 2 sets. Then you're going to win 1 set, lose the second, and in the third one, you're going to have opportunities to win, and you're going to lose again. And then after this, you're going to be able to win something because you have to lose and to learn how to deal with this situation a lot of time before you reach your objective.
I love that. Luisito Estrada, one of the number one players in the United States, said that he spent 1 year losing in order to become the paddle player that he is today. And it makes me think also of Roger Federer, of course, not paddle, but a pretty good tennis player. Do you know what percentage of points that he won in his entire career?
I've seen it, 54%, I think.
Crazy, right? So
Yeah,
that
it's crazy.
it's a great speech. I think totally appropriate for paddle tennis, right?
Yeah, totally. And also the difference between tennis, because okay, I lose or I win only the 54% of the point. It's my fault or the opponent for that plays good. Perfect. But here in paddle, we have to deal with the partner's mistake.
Partner.
Okay, partner, that I can only do a 25% of the job. If I do the 25% of my part, that is my 100% perfect, it's not going to be a result that I'm going to win or I'm going to do a very good match, because if my partner plays bad or have a bad day or get injured or whatever, we are going to lose. So that's why we whenever we teach paddle, we say that you have to train like a team from the beginning, because paddle is not one-on-one. Paddle is two against two, and you have to learn how to deal with my partner mistake, with my mistakes, and my partner is playing so good, and I'm having this pressure, everything from the beginning. Because if we don't start here from the beginning, you learn one-on-one how to play paddle during 3 years, then you start playing with someone, this someone misses the break ball, you're going to get angry and you're going to lose the point because you're going to not having the focus you have to have. And this is more important than doing the perfect technique of the bandeja or the volley or whatever.
And that, to back to your original point, David, is about the inability to learn this overnight, because you need to have those experiences to screw up and then see in yourself how you're reacting to your partner who screwed up, and then to have this relationship and evolving relationship. Hey, listen, David, yesterday I played really well and you didn't play so well. I got very upset at you. I'm sorry about that. And then, well, let's try and work on that together right now. And I'm wondering to what extent within the M3 you actually start to talk about these ideas of communication and choosing the right team, a player to play with you. These other elements are so important to the success of any player.
Totally agree. And for us, is the most important thing. I mean, we don't give a lot of importance, understand me, to the technique, for example. We believe we give more importance to know how to collocate on court depending on where your partner is, to whenever your partner is making a mistake, to go and clap the hand and say, it's okay, let's go for the next one, to keep being focused when the ball is not coming for you, to know what kind of word to say, to have respect to the opponent, to select. I prefer you to play to the perfect place with the perfect speed. Even your technique of the bandeja is not good, because it's more important this. So paddle is not like tennis, that the technique is so important. And it's more important all of these kind of things related with psychology and focus, with tactics, and with the deals of these emotions is the most important thing.
I love that we're going to finish on that. And it makes me think, like if you look at Paquito, for example, technically, he doesn't look like, he's not a beautiful, graceful player, but he's very efficient in his play. And that's how it suits him, and you think about how different people hit different vibora or different bandeja. That's their style. And it's, as long as it's effective, then that's
totally. If you see, the argument, the thing, what we say that technique is not so important, understand me again, is because if you say it's different player, they have totally different techniques. They don't do every single bandeja, every single vibra is totally different, but they make the correct decision. They play to the right place. They compete very well. They select better the very good the speed. They select the spin, not having another rebound. Maybe now change the speed and killing it strong. And this is the most important thing. the technique is important for passing the ball to the other side. Once you are able to pass to the other side, we need to work in all the other things. You said Paquito. If you see Paquito, it's not the most beautiful technique, but it's efficient. And he's an active competitor, and he always takes the good decision in every single ball. And the important point, he's not going to lose the point, or he's not going to miss the ball. He's going to give the opportunity to the opponent to miss
screw
the
it
ball.
up.
So Paquito, and for example, Paquito is another one that has been pure padel. I know I've been in the national team whenever we were young with Paquito Navarro, with Juan Lebron. So we know each other. I have a picture of my brother Galan and Lebron whenever they were 10 years old. They were playing tournaments. So if you start playing tournament and live this kind of experience, this kind of bad decision from this young age, whenever you are 18, you've been 10 years making mistakes. And so you have learned a lot about this.
And that makes me think about when Juan Lebron gets upset with his partner, Galan. He was actually probably getting upset that that wasn't what we had been working on, as opposed to that we actually lost the point. He's upset that the system isn't working, or you didn't do what we were supposed to be doing as a plan.
Okay, I know LeBron a lot of years ago. We have LeBron in M3 Padel Academy for 4 years during they were top #1, and LeBron is a very beautiful guy. Outside the court is super nice, but inside the court, he's for me like in football, in soccer, like Cristiano Ronaldo. His job is to win every single point, to do every single thing perfect. And at the moment something is not going perfect as he wants, he gets upset. It's something that he cannot control because it's the way he is. He's working a lot of in the psychological aspect with psychologists in the academy and everything, but sometimes he cannot control this. That's the weak point of LeBron, and that's why there are other people that they are kind of this way they play or the way they are, because we are not machines. Okay, LeBron is perfectly technique, he competes very well, tactically very well, and physical spectacular, but this psychological part, he needs to prove he knows. But not everybody is perfect because we are not machines.
Really? David,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, I'm not
shocked.
a machine.
I can't believe it. I'm Mr. Perfect. We're gonna finish. Last question, David. The joy of paddle is all about spreading the joy, and I always like to ask, what is a funny anecdote or story that you have around paddle on a paddle court that would that makes you smile?
Oof, difficult question. I can have a lot of them. Let me think 10 seconds because I have to filter which one I can.
I know, because the point is that there's so many funny times, right? You know,
Okay, perfect.
missing a ball.
Perfect.
Go.
I have mine. I'm not going to say names, okay? But I used to play with one guy, and if you know, in the previous of World Padel Tour and professional tournaments, they were not referees, so it was like the jungle. Okay, so we were playing, we were in the third set, looking for the main draw, and we were facing the opponents, and we had some arguments about this ball is good, it's not out, or whatever. So my partner started to become hot and hot and hot and hot. At the moment that one very important ball that was totally in, they say, no, it was out, or no, start arguing, and my partner goes out to the court, take the backs of the opponents and throw the back away to the other court, above the fence and everything. And now I'm going to the referee, but you look for your back. So I was inside the court like, what you are doing? But it was totally crazy. I have been honest. One of the things I didn't like in competing the players that if they are not referees, a lot of people stole balls, a lot of people were not being honest while they're playing, and you have to deal with a lot of things that they are not the perfect ones for a professional sport.
Yeah,
but
well,
it was for me very fun to see it inside the court, throwing my partner throwing the bags or above the fence of the opponent. The opponent was, what you are doing?
yeah.
Don't stall me anymore.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I mean, it does bring up the point, this challenge of being a good sport, and the challenge. And of course, I have made bad calls as well, and it's hard to always get all the calls right. So another case of being imperfect. David, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on. Tell us how people can follow you personally as a coach, and also get more information about M3.
Perfect. Thank you very much to you, Minter. It's been a totally pleasure. I've spent a lot of good time. In Instagram, they can follow me at David G. Campos, okay? And also M3 Padel Academy. We have Instagram, the website. We have everything there. And I invite everybody to come in September, October to our new M3 Padel Center. We will publish something soon, some renders, some picture and everything, and nothing. Everything has been super good. Thank you for your time, Minter, and whenever you want, I would love to come back.
Oh, I would love that. And so M3, that's in Madrid, of course, right?
Yeah, it's in Madrid. We are going to be in Leganes. The new club is going to be in Leganes.
All right, beautiful. Many thanks, David.
Welcome. It's been a pleasure.